Venus is a death trap. Clouds of acid, heat that melts metal. And still, the Soviets tried to land there. Why did they keep sending spacecraft to a planet that destroyed every single one of them? That's the mystery. One after another, their probes either vanished into space or got crushed by Venus's unforgiving atmosphere. But instead of giving up, the Soviets doubled down. Again and again. What were they trying to prove? What did they find? The first attempt, Venera 1, launched in 1961, but within a week it vanished. No signal, no data, just radio silence. It may have passed within 100,000 kilometers of Venus, but nobody really knows. Still, it was a start. Next came Venera 2, launched 4 years later. It flew even closer, just 24,000 kilometers from the planet. But like its predecessor, it never phoned home. Then, in 1966, Venera 3 became the first human-made object to crash into another planet. It hit Venus and was never heard from again. You'd think they'd stop there, but no. The big breakthrough came from Venera 4 in 1967. This time, the Soviets weren't just aiming for a flyby or a crash. They built a probe that could drop into Venus's thick atmosphere and try to survive the descent. It worked. Sort of. The probe started transmitting as it fell, from about 26 kilometers up. It sent back astonishing data. Pressure rising fast, from 0.6 to over 20 atmospheres, and temperature soaring from -43 degrees Celsius to more than 500 degrees Celsius. It found almost no oxygen, just carbon dioxide and nitrogen, dashing any hopes that Venus might be Earth's twin. Eventually, the signal cut out. The planet's brutal heat and pressure were just too much. But this was history. The first time we'd ever heard from the atmosphere of another planet. And the Soviets weren't done yet. In 1969, they sent twin missions, Venera 5 and Venera 6. Both entered Venus's atmosphere, parachuted down, and transmitted for nearly an hour each. They confirmed the worst. Venus was even more hellish than Venera 4 had reported, with no breathable air, no break in the heat, and pressures that could crush a submarine. Venera 5 made it to about 18 kilometers above the surface. Venera 6 around 20 kilometers. After that, they were done. But they delivered critical clues. Venus wasn't just hot. It was toxic, acidic, and deadly. So in 1970, the Soviets tried something new. Venera 7 wasn't meant to hover in the clouds. It was built to land softly on the surface. That had never been done before. The engineers designed it like a tank, a titanium sphere wrapped in heat shields, tough enough to survive up to 150 atmospheres and more than 540 degrees Celsius. The parachute was smaller, so it wouldn't linger too long in the burning atmosphere. It was a marvel by scientific standards, and for all their efforts, it worked. Just not exactly as they had planned. Venera 7 crash-landed harder than expected, but somehow it survived and managed to send data from the surface for 23 full minutes. It recorded 475 degrees Celsius heat and pressure 90 times that of Earth. That's like being baked at 4.5 times the temperature of your kitchen oven, while being squeezed by the weight of 90 Earth atmospheres, enough to flatten almost anything made by humans. In 1972, Venera 8 took it a step further. This time, they aimed for the planet's day side. The probe had improved insulation, a deployable antenna for stronger signals, and a design that kept it stable even after landing. It transmitted for nearly an hour. The data confirmed earlier readings, 470 degrees Celsius on the surface, and that same crushing pressure. But it also measured sunlight and detected basalt, a volcanic rock. This wasn't just a hot planet, it was an active one. At this point, you'd think they would stop, but the Soviets knew very well that repetition is the mother of all learning. This was the golden age of the Cold War, so they really needed to win this part of the space race. So, in the mid-70s, Soviets sent Venera 9 and Venera 10, and these probes had something their predecessors never had: cameras. For the first time in history, we saw what another planet's surface looked like, and it wasn't pretty. The images revealed a rocky wasteland, jagged volcanic stones, a dim orange sky. Not the lush jungle some had once imagined, just endless scorched stone under a choking atmosphere. The cameras had special heat-resistant lenses and shutters designed to work in extreme temperatures. They lasted just over an hour before shutting down. Still, the mission was a triumph, but the Soviets weren't satisfied yet. Venera 11 and Venera 12, launched in 1978, came equipped with new tools. They expanded the mission beyond Venus's surface, looking at how the planet interacted with space itself. These probes carried landers as well, designed to examine soil and analyze the atmosphere up close. Though their time on the surface was brief, the data they collected helped paint a fuller picture of Venus's complex chemistry and hostile weather. And then came the grand finale. Venera 13 and Venera 14 launched in 1981. These were the most advanced Venus landers ever built. The landers survived more than 2 hours and recorded everything they could. The eerie sound of wind on a distant planet, color images of sharp, fractured terrain, soil samples analyzed by X-ray revealing a surface shaped by intense volcanic activity. The insulation, cooling systems, and electronics were next level, built to endure in an environment where most metals would melt. For a moment, the Soviets were winning the space race, on a planet no one else dared touch, and just when they were about to reach the pinnacle of their exploration, they suddenly stopped. So, after all that progress, why did the Soviets stop? Simple. It got too expensive, too difficult, and too dangerous. Each mission cost millions, with little return. Probes barely lasted hours. Technology was advancing elsewhere, like Mars and Earth-orbiting stations, where long-term science could be done without the risk of being fried. Then the Soviet Union itself began to fall apart. By the mid-1980s, the Venera program was quietly shelved. No more missions, no more cameras descending into acid skies. However, what the Venera missions revealed changed everything. Before these probes, scientists had imagined Venus as Earth's twin, possibly harboring oceans, maybe even life beneath the clouds. But the Venera missions painted a different picture, a runaway greenhouse effect, temperatures hot enough to melt lead, air thick with carbon dioxide and acid, pressure that would flatten a tank. It was Earth's twin, all right. But the evil one. Venus is a mirror showing what happens when heat goes unchecked. And though the Venera program ended, its legacy lives on. The data it provided reshaped planetary science and laid the foundation for every mission that followed. Not just to Venus, but to Mars, Titan, and beyond. What do you think we missed when the Venera program shut down? Tell us in the comments. And if you want to see more mind-blowing stories from space, check out our video on what NASA discovered near Neptune. It's something you have to see to believe. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with anyone who thinks space is boring, because Venus will change their mind.